Welcome back to the Wild Sting Radio Sports Hour at Stevenson University with Connor High, where this week we are going to cover Week 7 in the NFL, the MLB playoffs, and the NBA tip-off. But starting with the NFL, let's talk about the big win the Ravens pulled out at home against the Bears. So this was a Ravens team that has been Lamar Jackson-less without your MVP. Snoop Huntley steps in and leads them to a huge win. This is a team that was 1-5, really needed this, and not only for the team itself and for Harbaugh to keep his job, but to stay in the division race. You would never have believed at the start of the year this Ravens team would be 1-5 going into Week 7, but they were. And at this point, you got to coach from where you are, and I think Harbaugh did a great job. He outcoached Ben Johnson. They outplayed the Bears. Really from start to finish, their defense played great, which they've been asking for all year. Just if this Ravens team can play good defense, you're going to be fine. The offense is going to come around, and they finally did it, and look what happens. 30 points from their offense, and they really shut down a Bears team that's been turning it around. So a quick look at the standings there in the AFC North, because this is the big thing to watch, are the Steelers going to be able to hold off this Ravens team? Now, they do have a 3-game lead on them already, or more like 2.5-game lead, but Steelers have lost 2 straight. They haven't looked elite this year. They have looked really ordinary, but on the better side of bad, I guess. It's a really weird Steelers team because Aaron Rodgers is at the helm, and Aaron Rodgers has kind of been so-so the past 2 years. He's looked good this year, but I really do think the Ravens are in this race. They're 2-5 right now compared to the 4-3 Steelers. The Bengals are really down without Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Flacco's done well, but they just lost to the Jets last week. Their defense can't stop anybody. This Ravens team has a chance to do something in the AFC North that we haven't seen in a while. 1-5 team coming back to take over that spot. It would be a huge comeback, but I think with Lamar Jackson hopefully coming back this Thursday against the Dolphins, which again should be a win for the Ravens. They're a better team. This is a huge win regardless. What a game. Snoop Huntley went out there, was completing over 77% of his passes, 186 yards and a touchdown. Exactly what you needed out of him. Just doing what he can, not throwing the ball downfield too much, but throwing it down when he needs to. Running the ball like he always does. Derrick Henry was good enough when the entire team knew he was getting the ball. This was a really nice win, a really big win. They needed it, and they got it. It was a well done job by John Harbaugh, keeping his job over there. Nice win. Now we look over at the Steelers. Let's keep it in the AFC North for a second. And they lost to the Packers. So this was a loss that I think might set the tone for the next couple weeks, because we've already seen a few things from Aaron Rodgers this year that you don't like, and that's a little bit of a, I don't want to call it diva, but a little bit of a, I'm the MVP look when his teammate, tackled him last week after a touchdown in celebration. It's not what you want to see from a starting quarterback, but I get it from Rodgers. Like, I'm not saying it's 100% on Rodgers, but you can't really show that to your team on national television that I'm just going to chew you out for no reason. Like, it's a celebration. Let the guy celebrate. And then this week you come out and you get such a good start against the Packers. And you look at it, you're up 20-7 at halftime. You're in the driver's seat. The Packers offense was not looking good. And then next thing you know, you get to the fourth quarter, it's 23-14, and then the Packers just put up 21 on you, and you respond with 6. I think this could set a really bad precedent. This is what the Steelers have been doing for the past 2 or 3 years now. They've been playing decent teams. They've been, keeping it close but never winning the big game. And then they go to the playoffs as a 9-8 or a 10-7 team, and they lose in the first round every single year. And the cycle continues to repeat. And I think many people thought that was going to be different with Rodgers coming in. Myself maybe included in that. I don't know. I didn't really know what to think of the team. I thought they were going to be worse than they are right now, but they've looked okay. But if they keep this up where they're playing good teams like this, as they've been playing them in the past, which is just keeping it close and then losing it at the end, oh no, just one piece away. How many times are you going to be one piece away before you start blaming the coach? Tomlin's been there long enough now. This needs to be a team that starts winning. You have the roster, you have the receiving weapons now. You went out and got DK Metcalf. You got a good tight end in Freiermuth. You have a great rushing offense. You should at least. You should get a better O-line over there, but this should be a team that is better than it is, and they lost to the Packers again. Packers are a great team, but this was a very winnable game for the Steelers. I think it's going to set a bad precedent for the rest of the season, and I think this is one they're going to look back on and circle and say we should have won that game. That would have helped us big time when it comes to winning this division and making a run deep into the playoffs. Now, when we look over at another team that maybe hasn't been as good in the past few years and hasn't been near that level, but last year took a huge jump, similar to what the Commanders did. but this year kind of took a step back at the start of the year, and now they're heating up. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos, because, wow, they looked bad. They looked really bad through three quarters. The Giants last week were just beating them, and they came back and they put up 33 on them. Pretty impressive win for the Broncos last week. This was 2 weeks ago, but I just wanted to bring this up because, wow, I was so impressed with Bo Nix and the fact that he came out and just was so good that week. And then he brings it into this week, and he just beats down the Cowboys. I mean, what a phenomenal job. Bo Nix has really turned it around after such a slow start to the year. Sean Payton, all the credit in the world. I mean, they were 1-2, and now they're up 5 games in a row. They're up 6-2 now, and they haven't had any free ones. I mean, the Jets game was sloppy. They ended up winning it. And that's the games you got to win. You got to win those sloppy games, and then they come out and they drop 44, and then they drop 38. It's a really nice Broncos team right now. They're in a flow offensively, and that defense is great. That pass rush is unmatched across the league. And then, of course, you got Pat Surtain on the outside. Ooh, this could be a contender for that number 1 spot in the AFC if they keep this up. This was a really good start for them, a really good week for them. And, wow, Bo Nix. Who would have thought that Bo Nix and Drake May, the number 3 and I think the number 10 pick, would be balling like this over Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. This has been a really good start to the season for Bo Nix. If he can keep this up, him and Drake May are really going to be establishing themselves as the best from that class. But, yeah, those were 3 of the biggest games from this week and 3 of the biggest stories, and there's plenty more to cover when we come back in a few minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Stevenson Sports Hour with Connor High, where we are covering Week 7 in the NFL, starting with the Dolphins saying we are not done yet, taking down the Falcons in Atlanta. What a big game it was for Mike McDaniel and Tua, both who have been heavily criticized by the media. So much to the point where I've been calling, even me, has been saying McDaniel needs to be fired. My opinion still hasn't changed on that, but it was a nice win for the Dolphins. He might have bought himself some more time. Let's see if he can turn it around. Tua had 4 touchdowns, had over 75% completion. They had a good rushing attack going. It was a good win for the Dolphins. Falcons, don't worry about it too much. Penix was out, so you had to deal with Kirk Cousins in there, and Kirk Cousins clearly just does not have it in that offense, whether it be the offense or his age. He just doesn't have it over there in Atlanta. He's going to need a change of scenery soon, and we'll see how long it takes for them to get that. Moving on to another young team that is struggling, and that is the Tennessee Titans getting steamrolled by the Colts. And I thought that this was the perfect way to say it. Andrew Catalon, actually, the announcer, was, I think, spot on when he said, the Colts can do no wrong. There has been nothing they have done wrong this season. I think he said it perfectly, and it was right after, I think, their 3rd touchdown of the first half. They seriously have been on such a good start. I mean, I looked at a stat that said they are more efficient than the Patriots were when Randy Moss was there. Pretty difficult stat to beat, and the fact that Daniel Jones is manning that offense is pretty funny and pretty poetic if you think about it. I mean, this is a team that was written off before the season even started. Daniel Jones at quarterback, I mean, people were laughing. And now Daniel Jones is in the MVP race, and Jonathan Taylor is right there with him. I mean, Taylor is leading the league in NFL in rushing. I think he has 14 touchdowns already this season. And I seriously could not have pictured a better start for the Colts. The fact that they are 7-1 and atop the AFC is hilarious to me. I would have never. I guess that's the beauty of football, is that some guys get a second chance and run with it. Daniel Jones is sprinting with it. This is a great start. I am in utter shock that they're as good as they are. And Daniel Jones, what a start, what a comeback for a career. They're looking to re-sign him. There was a report that came out. They want him to a long-term deal. Not sure what that means for Anthony Richardson. I know it means he's not going to stay in Indianapolis. So, yeah, Daniel Jones, what a comeback. Applause to you. Wow. What a comeback for Daniel Jones, and what a comeback for that Colts team who's really been wanting to have a good team for a long time now. Now, let's look at another really good team in the AFC, right up there at the top of the AFC, and that's the Bills. The Bills played the Panthers last week. Now, granted, Panthers did not have Bryce Young, and it showed. I think people who think that Bryce Young is a bad quarterback, or people who think Bryce Young is not really important to the success of the Panthers, should really have watched the game against the Bills and kind of gotten the picture that, okay, maybe Andy Dalton is not on that same level of Bryce Young. Maybe Bryce Young does have some things that a team would look for in a quarterback, because, man, there was no offensive flow. Your top receiver had 99 yards, but Most of them were garbage time. You allowed 40 points, and none of them were in the fourth quarter, and you scored 6 in the fourth quarter. So realistically, going into the fourth quarter, you're down 40-3. You need Bryce Young over there. Now on the Bills side, wow, James Cook, again, not going to say he's proven people wrong because James Cook has been a good running back for quite a long time, and he got a big contract extension. But I think a lot of people said that he was not as good as that contract said. And James Cook has responded with a career season, already at 753 yards and 7 touchdowns in 7 games this year, averaging 6 per carry. Yeah, I think that contract so far is living up to the number because goodness, James Cook had 216 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 19 touches last week. What a week for him. What a week for the Bills. They keep rolling, keep being the class of the AFC right up there with the Chiefs, who are right now playing the Commanders. They just went to halftime at 7-7. Now, let's flip it around for a second. We're looking at the good teams in the AFC. Let's take a look at 2 of maybe the worst teams in the AFC. And I can finally say it. The Jets have won a football game. The Jets are no longer winless. They are 1-7. They took down the Bengals. I don't know how they did it because they were getting creamed this entire game until they dropped a 23 spot in the fourth quarter, and it just seemed like the Bengals they just gave them the game. They just kept giving them the ball back. They tried nothing creative on offense in the fourth quarter. Granted, they put up 38 points, but, I mean, when it came down to closing the game, they did nothing. They just gave them the ball back, and I think that this Jets team was really fun to watch. I mean, it was fun watching Justin Fields play quarterback. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It looked like Week 1 again, where they really took on when the Jets were playing the Steelers Week 1. It looked like that Jets team again, and that was fun. Breece Hall was throwing passes. Breece Hall was running all over the Bengals. It was a fun team to watch, and I mean, I'm not going to say the Jets have hope. I'm not that crazy. I'm not trying to get that many people listening, but man, that was a fun game to watch. Happy for the Jets fans who got to see a win. And the Bengals, on the other hand, I mean, just gear up for another long season. We'll see if Joe Burrow comes back 2 months from now and can save you. But Joe Flacco tried his best. I mean, you put up 38 points and lose. What are you going to do? But I can finally say we finally have a team. We finally have a Jets team with a win. That's nice to say. And then we're going to look over at the New England Patriots staying in the AFC East. Let's talk about Drake May for a minute because Drake May, I think, was, when the draft came out last year, I think he was probably my QB2, right behind Caleb Williams. I think it went Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. I think that was my quarterback list on who was the best. And I really like Drake May just because of he had the prototypical size. I really didn't know all that much about him because you watch him at North Carolina and he's like, yeah, he's good, but he's not crazy. And you watch Jaden Daniels win the Heisman. You watch Caleb Williams everybody saw Caleb Williams in college. Everybody knew he was going to be the number 1 pick after that season at Oklahoma. So you watch the other 2 quarterbacks, you know they're great. You watch Bo Nix. How many years was he in college? 5 years in college? You know he's going to be great. But then you look at Drake May, and he's just the young guy. He's the youngest of them, and he's going out there, and he's so much potential. Big arm, big body, can run. And you watched him last year, and there was a lot to like. And then this year, he's taken that next step that you want to see a quarterback take. I think Mike Vrabel's definitely played a big part in that. He makes it a little bit easier on his quarterbacks. He had Ryan Tannehill play really good football for a long time in Tennessee. And this year, he's got 15 touchdowns and 3 picks. That's Drake May, 15 touchdowns already. 6-2 record over there in New England. I would say the Mike Vrabel start has been pretty good over there, as it was in Tennessee for a while. So happy for the Patriots. Happy to see them get a win. Going 6-2 to start the season is not easy, and they play a tough schedule. Already have a signature win over the Bills. This is a good start for them. They are actually in the top of the AFC East right now. Would not have expected that at the start of the year. So pretty good start. Now, here's another question we can bring up while we're on the topic of quarterbacks. Dillon Gabriel is starting right now for the Cleveland Browns. And so far, to me, he has not shown anything to prove that he's going to be the starting quarterback next year or that he should be the starting quarterback long term. So you start to have the rumors spread around, and they haven't really gotten big yet, but I think they will after next week, because if Gabriel has another week like he did this week, 21 of 35, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, I think if he has another one of those weeks, I think the Shedeur Sanders calls from the fans are going to get really loud, and it's going to be really tough to ignore. because at this point there's really no reason not to start him. I mean, the Browns are 2-6. They're not getting any better with Gabriel at the helm, and they gave away Joe Flacco. I really don't see, unless Gabriel really turns it around or shows you something, a flash, wow, this guy can be a starting quarterback. I would expect the rumors to start flooding in here soon about the Shedeur Sanders rumors, and I mean Dion's going to start talking, you know that. So I think it's going to be a pretty telling week next week for the Browns on whether or not he starts. Their next game is going to be against the Jets 2 weeks from now, so they're going into their bye, and then they play the Jets. I'm going to tell you right now, if they lose to the Jets and Dillon Gabriel has a bad game, I don't see how you don't give Shedeur Sanders a chance to compete. I mean, you draft this guy. He was supposed to be this, maybe first-round pick, maybe second-round pick. Falls to the fifth round, whether it's character concerns, whether it's playstyle concerns, whatever you want to call it. Falls to the fifth round. Unprecedented draft slide. I mean, they were saying he should have been off the board at number 2. And you draft Dillon Gabriel in front of him, which means you already don't like Sanders. And now he's on your team backing up a guy who most fans think is worse than him. The calls for Sanders are going to get really loud here soon, and I think the Browns are going to have to answer those calls. I think it's going to be a telling week against the Jets. But real quick, let's take a look at the Week 8 NFL games that are going to be fun to watch. The 4 most competitive games next week, in my opinion, starting with the Colts and the Steelers, and it's going to be the Colts at the Steelers. And I think the Colts just have been too good on all facets. They've been too good, and I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to keep up with them. Steelers looked good last week, but faded off in the end, as they always do. I think that Daniel Jones has been, everybody's waiting on it. Everybody's waiting until he turns back into Daniel Jones. I don't think it happens next week. I think he's going to continue his hot play. I think he's going to keep playing great. I think he's going to keep staying in that MVP race. Daniel Jones is going to stick around for a little while, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy it. Broncos at Texans. Broncos have looked really good. The Texans looked really good last week against the 49ers. The Texans are really turning it around offensively, which has been their biggest problem the past 2 seasons. Stroud is kind of settling in. Their offensive line is playing a little bit better, giving them a little bit more time. I like the Texans in this one. I really do. I love what Bo Nix has been doing over there in Denver, but I love teams at home with good defenses. I love it. When a team is at home with a good defense, it gets even harder on the offense they're going against, and that Texans defense is good. I think they're going to pull that one out. I really do. I think that's one of my upsets of the week. And then you have the all-time classic rivalry, Chiefs and Bills. You got Mahomes versus Allen. This one is weird because I know the Bills are 5-2, but I feel really good about the Chiefs right now. They're struggling against the Commanders right now because of a couple unfortunate interceptions, but I feel really good about the Chiefs. Their offense is looked more explosive this year than it has in the past. Rashee Rice is back. They're getting yards on 4th and 1, and I know that sounds weird, but they weren't doing that last year. They weren't picking up the 1 yard when they needed to. They weren't picking up 5 yards every play. It seems like this is a different offense than what we've seen from them the past 2 years. I'm really liking the Chiefs in that matchup. And then lastly, let's look at the Seahawks and the Commanders. This game right here is going to tell for these two teams. Let's take a quick look at the Seahawks record, because when you look at the Commanders have had a ton of injuries, and you deal with Jaden Daniels being out for a long time, and just every other week it seems like he's out, and then McLaurin is finally back this week, and then Debo was out last week. So many injuries. The game they're playing right now against the Chiefs, they have looked, I don't want to say ugly, but they haven't looked great. They've looked competitive, and Marcus Mariota is probably up there and one of the best backups in the league. But they need Jaden Daniels to come back, and they need to become explosive again. Last year, they were explosive. On 4th down, they got it every time. I think it was like an 86% clip they would get 4th down. Their receiving core improved this year when they got Deebo Samuel. I know people don't like to hear that, but it did. Deebo Samuel has been great. And, you still have a great tight end. This could be a fun game. The Seahawks are 5-2. This is one that it's in Washington. You got to go across the country on Sunday Night Football. I love the Commanders in this game. I really do. If Jaden Daniels is playing, I love the Commanders in this one. And I think that it's going to be a fun week of football next week. But that is a wrap on the NFL. And when we come back, we will take a look at the update of the World Series and NBA tip-off in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Stevenson Sports Hour with Connor High. We're looking at the World Series well underway and is split 1-1 through the first two games. In Game 2, Yoshinobu Yamamoto threw a complete game, allowing just one run on 4 hits, recording 8 strikeouts and no walks. What a performance it was by him, his second consecutive complete game. I think right now he's one of those undoubted top 5 pitchers in the league. Gausman pitched really well, just came up a little short. 2 solo shots really hurt him. And now the series is headed back to LA, where the Dodgers in the regular season were 52-29. So it's a pretty good advantage for the Dodgers, and I think they're in a good spot. But right now they're down 4-2. It's a big home run by Alejandro Kirk, a 3-run shot in the 4th. And then Andres Jimenez had a deep sac fly to center field to give the Blue Jays some insurance there. Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez has already scored, so it's going to be a really fun series. I think the Blue Jays are showing a little bit more fight than I expected. I know the Blue Jays are a good team, but the Dodgers have just been on a different level in this playoff run. And I think they're going to end up on top eventually. But right now, I've been really shocked at how well the Blue Jays have played. And I think that the Blue Jays have shown enough to me right now that they're going to make this at least a 5 or 6 game series, or a 6-game series. I think this is going to go at least 6. I think it's going to get back to Toronto. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go from there. I know it's going to 6. I wonder which side pulls it out. So we'll see. And before we go, let's talk about the NBA a little bit. Just tipped off this week, and already I think, barring injury, Victor Wembanyama is looking like one of the best players of all time through the first 3 games. He's got more blocks than 28 other teams, including his own. So 2 other teams have more blocks than him. While he's averaging 33 points and 13 rebounds. I don't really know what else I have to say about that. That's unbelievable. He's averaging 6 blocks a game on the season so far, including 4 on Zion Williamson the other night. Right now, the Spurs are up by 17 on the Raptors, and he has 10 points and 14 rebounds with 3 assists. The dude is a freak. I mean, he's 7'3", and he moves like a guard, dribbles like a guard, brings the ball up the floor, is going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year if he stays healthy. He's one of those all-timers that you don't see often. They say generational talent about just about anybody who comes out of the draft nowadays. This guy's a generational talent. There is zero doubt that this guy is one of the all-time greats. He's going to be a Tim Duncan to the Spurs fans out there. He's going to be one of those guys that is going to go down in history and have a spot in the NBA Hall of Fame if he keeps himself healthy. Now, another guy that is an underappreciated all-time legend, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but we don't look at this guy like we used to because of guys like Wembanyama. Giannis Antetokounmpo, every single year, comes in to Milwaukee. Let me just quote Milwaukee, a place that nobody really goes to and has great success. And the dude is averaging 36 points through 3 games this year. He averaged 30 last year. He averaged 30 the year before that. He averaged 31 the year before that. He averaged 30 the year before that. This is a 2-time MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, every year an All-NBA first team. I mean, this guy, I don't know how we don't talk about him more. He is unbelievable. If not for guys having career seasons, you could make the argument that he should win the MVP just about every year. For what he brings to that team, he's almost never injured. He's pretty much healthy every single year. Giannis is maybe the best all-around player in the NBA. I mean, consistency-wise, he's never shot under 50%. I mean, the past 3 years, he's shot 61%, 60%, 68%. This dude is a freak. He's getting better every year, and he's in his mid-30s now. He's a ridiculous player. I can't believe we're getting to the point where we're looking at him as just another guy in the MVP race and not the guy. He's 30 years old, and he's got so much basketball left to play, but if he retired tomorrow, he'd be a Hall of Famer. And I think we need to show a little bit more love to the Greek Freak. This guy has been ridiculous. Now, a guy who's still getting love and still doing everything right is Steph Curry. Steph Curry has started this season on a heater, 33 points, had 42 the other night to win the game against the Lakers. Just an amazing player and best shooter of all time, no doubt. Hall of Famer, first ballot. Now, a couple other guys that have come up. I think the 2 guys you're going to look at for the Rookie of the Year race is Cooper Flagg, obviously, and VJ Edgecombe. Now, VJ Edgecombe obviously came out with a bang. He put up 32 points, I believe, in his first game, 34 points in his first game on just ridiculous numbers, and it led him to a 1-point win over Boston. And then last night, had 15, which is still good, and he's going to be a scoring guy. He's just going to put up points. And he had 8 assists last night. Him, Maxey, Embiid, I like what Philly's got cooking over there. I really do. I think Philly's going to be a decent team with Boston out of it. They always have that Philly-Boston talk. Now that Boston's out of it with Tatum hurt and everybody else, playing below average, Jaylen Brown's really taking a step back. VJ Edgecombe could be that next. He could be the guy that gets them to the next step in the process, as they call it over there. As the process has lasted 20 years now, but he might be the next step in the process, and he might really, really advance what they can do offensively. I think this is a really good shot to win Rookie of the Year. And then Cooper Flagg, obviously, there's not much I have to say about him besides he's just unbelievable. I mean, you watch the dude play, you look at stats, right? And stats tell you a lot about NBA players, especially. Like if you see a guy not putting up great stats and getting minutes on a floor, usually he's a good defender. When you look at Cooper Flagg's stats, they're just so consistent. I mean, he starts the season with a double-double, 10 and 10. He didn't have the best game, didn't have the worst game. And then he had 18, then he had 18, 6, and 5. Then last night, that game he played against Toronto, I mean, he looked like a seasoned vet. He was throwing lobs up the court. He was in position defensively. He had a great game. He hasn't missed a free throw yet. I know that's a small thing, but he's 10 for 10 on it. It's not easy. The dude is a great player, and I know he's the favorite to win Rookie of the Year, so this isn't a hot take, but I think this is not even going to be much of a debate. I mean, unless VJ Edgecombe or somebody else from this class does something ridiculous, Cooper Flagg is taking home that award. All right, now, before we go, I wanted to do one more thing, because it's never too early, right? It's never too early to take a shot at who's going to win the finals this year. I think there's 4 teams in my mind that have the best shot at it, and that would be the Thunder, the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Knicks. And the reason I say the Knicks is because they have such a balanced team. I know they lost Thibodeau. I don't really know how much of that is going to affect them this year because I really like Thibodeau. But I really love the Thunder. I love Shea. I think Shea's a great point guard. I know everybody hates the foul baiting. It's the NBA nowadays. It's been the NBA how it's been forever. So the Lakers, Luka is on another level this year. And he's comfortable in that offense. When LeBron comes back, when DeAndre Ayton is playing with that team, this team is dangerous. This Lakers team is good. Be ready for them to be good, because they will be. The Warriors, Steph Curry, that's all I got to say. And the Knicks, Cat, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby's there. I mean, you have such a good team. I don't like picking repeat champions, because I don't think it happens often. I don't think it happens unless you have like a Warriors-level dynasty. But dang, this Thunder team has a Warriors-level dynasty, and they are set up for a long time. They have picks. They have players. They have the MVP. They have Chet Holmgren. The Thunder are winning the championship this year. Hot take starting the year. Not much, not very hot, but it is the take of the year to start out. The Thunder are going back-to-back. They have the team for it. They're a dynasty, and that is a wrap for this week in Stevenson Sports. This is Connor High. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week to do it all again.